Cleveland-led Advocates for Safe Housing is demanding Congress pass new federal legislation that would call for better lead testing at federally assisted housing in Northeast Ohio, in fact, all across the country. But the Lead Safe Housing for Kids Act is still sitting idle in Washington. News 5 investigator Joe Paganakis with us live right now for the latest on the push for new federal lead requirements.
Rob, a Cleveland father and local lead-safe advocates say the federal government can no longer delay in establishing more stringent lead testing requirements. That Cleveland's lead law is a good start, but more oversight is needed.
I continue to try for him in honor of my son, Demetrius.
For 3 decades, Derek Wade has been calling for better lead testing requirements after losing his son Demetrius to lead poisoning at the age of 24 in September of 2007. Wade says lead poisoning continues to be a real danger that doesn't discriminate.
And it doesn't cross racial lines, ethnic lines, religion lines.
Wade is urging Congress to pass the Lead Safe Housing for Kids Act in 2022, a measure that would require improved lead testing at federally assisted HUD housing, privately owned assisted housing, and properties receiving housing choice vouchers when a child under 6 years old is living in the unit or if the location was constructed before 1978.
Lead is a silent killer, and it disguises itself in many illnesses. So it is imperative that we get this legislation passed.
This is a massive crisis across the country.
National environmental justice law firm Earth Justice is now working with local lead-safe advocates, hoping to get the Lead Safe Housing for Kids Act passed into law. Earth Justice says the bill would essentially ban visual lead inspections currently in place in favor of more extensive lead assessments at HUD housing units, which includes more accurate lead lab testing.
Because of this inadequate testing regime, lead hazards in housing choice vouchers and other federally assisted housing units are often not identified until after a child living in those units has been lead poisoned.
The Lead Safe Housing Act for Kids would also require landlords to control and disclose lead hazards in rental units, provide a process to help families relocate without penalty if lead is found, and provide $50 million a year in federal funding to help landlords with lead cleanup starting in 2023.
We know the sources of it. We know what we need to do in order to curtail lead poisoning in this country. And so the federal government, Congress, the administration need to act.
And while local lead advocates and Earth Justice push for passage of the bill this year, Earth Justice doesn't expect the measure will be put up for a vote until sometime in 2023 when the next Congress is in place after this coming November. Rob, you know, we'll continue to follow up on this important developing story.
Joe Paganakis with us live tonight. Joe, thank you. And as Joe just mentioned, lead poisoning in kids, it's a major concern across the U.S., especially here in Cleveland. And now new information will make things even more critical. Earlier this year, U.S. health officials lowered the definition of lead poisoning in children from 5 micrograms per deciliter to 3.5 micrograms. That change is expected to more than double the number of kids who meet that threshold, from 200,000 nationwide to 500,000. The CDC says it would reevaluate the levels every 4 years, but the last change was 9 years ago.